Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ironis Insights. I got a great guest here, Dan Pinto, the president of RAC Partners. Thanks so much for joining us today, Dan. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning.
Where are you calling from today?
I am now in Jacksonville, Florida. So
All right,
the
nice.
moment, very cool North Florida, unseasonably cool.
Yeah, that's what you were saying. I don't think it's cooler than it is in New York City right now, but maybe it's close.
Yeah,
Thanks for hopping on. I wanted to just first dive into your background. Why did you get into RAC Partners and just give us a little information on that?
hey, sure. I'm actually a New York kid, born and raised upstate New York. Um, Electrical engineer. So I went to college in Buffalo. I'm an electrical engineer with the degree was a way back when Ronald Reagan was president. It would have been a computer science degree if they had kind of figured out what to call it at the time. But anyway, so I graduated and I immediately went to work at the National Security Agency, designing secure communications for military and intelligence kind of applications. And so that's how I would get into, secure communications. We certainly didn't call it cybersecurity back then.
What made you get into the NSA? I mean, it's just what made you go to the three-letter agency.
Yeah. Um, Short, I'll make it a short story. So I had an inclination to go towards the FBI.
Oh, okay.
And so while I was in Buffalo, I had met special agent in Buffalo, and he took the time to talk to me about it. And he said, you know what? You got a good plan, but you can't be a special agent till you're 25. And I'm graduating from college at 22.
Mhm.
He said, so here's what you do. Go to the one of the three-letter agencies, get your clearances worked out, get your feet on the ground, and then you transition to the FBI. So that was always the plan.
Mm,
But the fact is, I got involved in some work that I didn't want to let go of
yeah,
at NSA, and it just stuck.
yeah.
So I dabbled with going over to the FBI, but never pulled the trigger.
So, so how long? That's actually fascinating. I was just speaking with another founder who she was actually an FBI special agent.
Hmm.
She branched into the security realm. Uh, but yeah, very very interesting. I see a lot of federal agencies creating companies like this, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's very cool. So how long did you stay at the NSA?
I was at the NSA for 15 years,
Yeah.
a couple of them out in the field, in a field assignment. And then one of my mentors moved on to Johnson and Johnson, and I followed. So I did close to 10 years at Johnson and Johnson, doing very traditional information security, cybersecurity work. Because, I hate to say it, but time spent at NSA, some of that time was, you know, before Al Gore invented the internet, and we all kind of began to transition to this world where, everything is on the internet. But at Johnson and Johnson, it became more of a very traditional business enterprise,
Yeah.
um, working across the internet to try to solve problems. Right. And then I had an opportunity at J&J. I mean, that becomes a very, very long story about transitioning to Jacksonville with a J&J company.
Uh-huh.
Ended up not doing that, but the family, mostly Mrs. Pinto, kind of really liked the Jacksonville environment. And so we had an opportunity to just say, all right, let's go start our own thing and we'll move to North Florida. And that's what we did. And it's been a good move.
Nice. So you go to Johnson and Johnson to Florida. Now, where did RAC Partners come about and in that scenario?
Yeah. Well, it was the idea of starting my own consultancy
Hmm.
because I had good contacts. So while I was still in New Jersey is actually where the company started, but then it became a discussion, a personal matter of let's go somewhere warmer. Because all I need is an airport and uh, and the internet connection, obviously. And so that's what we did. So the RAC partners are just, we have three daughters, Rachel, Ann, and Cassidy. So there's your RAC partners. And just, my model has always been, have a couple good customers that are happy with the work you've done, and those references will carry you through, and it has.
So you've basically been work. I remember you mentioning offline that you have the majority of your network is New Jersey, New York based, and but you're living
Yeah.
in Jacksonville. So you're solely focused on essentially referral based business right now, and it's been
Yep. Yep. Because personally, for me, I've learned, I'm old enough to learn that marketing part, like if I can get a meeting with someone and talk to them about solving their problems, that's easy for me. That discussion about cornering someone at some event and convincing them that they need to have that meeting with me, I hate that. And
yeah,
I've learned that I'm just not going to do that.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I just go by referrals and it's been working for me.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if you can, with your track record, right, and the people you've met throughout your career and getting those referrals, I mean, that's certainly solid. And obviously, the networking events are never the funnest things trying
Yeah.
to convince people that they might need something, right?
Yeah. And let
Yeah.
me tell you how smart I am and how I can solve all your problems.
Yeah, yeah, well, exactly, right? Yeah. So that seems to be working for you. What do you think, being a business owner, founder, what are some challenges? Like what's been frustrating for you? When you're working for a company like Johnson Johnson or the NSA, I mean, you're under a very large umbrella. So now it's
Right.
something much different, right?
Yeah. So now the part you like about it because it's smaller and you can more agile and move more quickly. I always told people, in previous environments, I found myself sometimes having to put out a lot of effort cleaning up someone else's mess. Where now I'm, as working in my environment, if a mess gets made, it's because I made it, and then I'll go clean it up, which hasn't happened very often, but
Of course
you
not.
tend to have more ownership over what happens. You make
Yeah,
your own decisions, and if you make a decision to get involved in something, then it's like, all right, I have to finish this out.
exactly. Exactly. And now, how long has your company been up and running now?
We have been up and running so when we started in New Jersey, I'm going to say January of '07.
Wow. I mean,
Yeah, it's been a long time.
yeah, so something's definitely working for you. Congrats on your success. I mean, that's a long time to be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's yeah, actually longer. It has now reached a point where it's been longer than, I say I've only had 3 jobs in my life, but this one has now actually been the longest.
Right, right. So, you know, there's a lot of different changes in technology since 2007, right? So,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine um some of the changes you had to work with. Now, what do you think is some of the biggest influences in technology trends, for instance, maybe AI that may be affecting your business or the industry as a whole?
Yeah, that's interesting. I am the conversation with AI, we could talk about that for hours. And I unfortunately I find myself, the word skeptical is incorrect. It's an incorrect use. But listen, AI is very real. It is incredibly powerful technology that a lot of people are beginning to use to run their businesses and to do important things. I get a little brittle when I hear people talk about, oh, it snuck up on us and we weren't ready for it. And it's like, well, no, it didn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? This has been coming on us for, 30 years. It's been
yeah,
evolving. And so anybody who says, nah, I'm snuck up on us, so we have to figure out how to do it well. I just like, well, I don't buy that at all. So
yeah,
we know how to properly evaluate the products we use and confirm, is this product really meeting our needs? Is this product going to do what we want it to and not accidentally do what we don't want it to? We've got processes and controls that we've known about for decades that can help us to confirm those things. But sometimes it seems like people will say, well, those tools don't work for AI. And I think, well, yeah, I think they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just putting out the effort to do it.
What I've seen a lot, especially when it comes to AI, is I mean, either people not being properly informed. I mean, LLMs and automation, this has been going on for a while, right? Like you said, like 30 years.
Yep.
I mean,
Yes.
these are not new technologies. Now it is new to the public and in a wide in a mainstream format such as the black box known as ChatGPT, right? Or
Yeah.
or Gemini, or whoever you want to use. And I think that is what, you know, mainstream media will say, oh, this is stuck up on us. It's like, but this is actually
Yeah.
not new. Not
Yeah.
that new. Yeah.
Well, yeah, an interesting debate I had with someone is when someone says, well, we're using AI for this. And I kind of said, well, whatever it is you're doing, what makes it AI
Yeah.
instead of maybe just a really good automation
Yeah.
of a process?
Yeah.
Who decided what you were doing was AI, but what someone else is doing is automation, right?
Yeah.
And I think the terminology we have is it's so undefined
Yeah.
that if we really want to feel like we're managing this well, we first have to decide, well, what actually is AI and what isn't AI? It's just pretty good automation. And I don't know, maybe that's not worth figuring out, but I think it is because if we start putting controls and regulations around use of AI, then we're going to start having the debate of, well, that's not AI, that is AI.
Well, we're gonna have to have definitions, right? And
Yeah,
I agree, like AI is used as such a blanket term right now. And
yeah.
it's a buzzword, right? It's hot. Everyone's out there, AI this, AI
Everyone wants
that.
to say they're using AI. My service uses AI, which must make it better than yours.
Yeah,
Which I
yeah,
also say, well, why? Why is it better? If you use AI, why is it better?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Explain to me. So are you using any automation tools, LLMs in your business right now?
Um, no, I mean, some of the business tend to spend a reasonable amount of time helping companies either assess themselves
Hmm.
or assess others. And so we always look at, is there a way to kind of implement some AI to help automate parts of those assessments? Because they can get very routine and very rote
Yeah,
and, I would say sometimes boring. Like we've gotten involved in a lot of third-party supplier risk management. And I always say that stuff's really important, but it's not very exciting.
yeah, yeah.
Not exciting work, but it needs to be done.
Right. It needs to be, and I think there tools like, you know, any type of automation or AI just to do that mundane work that needs to be done, but can easily be scanned and then maybe reviewed by a human. What
Yes.
after you go through a first round, right? Nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
Even if you're typing in an email to ChatGPT, hey, clean this up, you may want to read it
Yes.
first, especially.
Reviewed by human, I would say, is essential.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Like it's definitely we're not in a place where we can replace anyone yet. But I think there's also a lot of fear in that I've noticed. Oh, we're gonna be replaced. Well, when the internet came out too, it was the same thing. Like, oh, it's gonna replace everyone's jobs, and it's really just about I think adapting and or adopting the technology, right? And learning it
Yeah.
yourself and being able to use those skills to better improve yourself and the company you work at. I mean, that's really, I think, the
Yeah.
big name of the game right now.
Yeah. The most intelligent way I've seen people handle that is if I can use some of these tools to take 40% of your activity off your plate. Well, now I've got now a good employee that now has 40% available cycles that I can repurpose some other problem that I'm trying to solve. And so if you can deliver that message and actually do it, because if you
Right.
tell people you're going to do that and then you start laying people off, obviously that's not a good thing.
Right.
But yeah, if you have good employees, it's easy to find ways to redirect them because you've given them some free cycles by using some of these other tools.
Well, exactly. And a good employee, like you said, will love the mundane task being completely gone now, or at
Yes.
least minimized, so they can focus on whatever it is, money making activities or something that is more human driven approach versus
Yeah,
just a mundane repeat task. Whether that's
yeah,
making calls to clients, doing site visits, whatever it is, right?
right.
If you have more time doing that, you're saving money, and like efficiency saves money. Yeah, creating more business, obviously that's going to bring more money in, but if you could create efficiencies that also will save you money, which is making you money.
Yeah. I mean, if people can get to a place where they are spending a little time and saying, "Hey, I just brought value to a
Yeah.
customer," and I see it immediately, whereas some of those mundane tasks, you just don't see it.
Yeah.
And so you get people feel good when they were like, "Hey, I just helped this guy or this woman, solve a problem because I wasn't spending 3 hours sorting through a spreadsheet trying to find
Yeah.
which cell was the one that didn't work."
Exactly. Exactly. So, I mean, so what type of companies do you typically work for? Do you focus on a specific niche or size company or?
Um, it's My time has been spent with pharmaceuticals because coming out of Johnson and Johnson,
Yep.
many of my contacts, that's where they were. Certainly financials. I have a partner up in New Jersey. We work together a lot. Where it's a kind of a unofficial partner. We just both run similar companies and we help each other out. So he's connected in some financial vertical. We do a lot of work for them. A little bit of government.
Hmm.
It's hard to break into that because of all the paperwork you need to do. So, but again, those three would be the verticals that have the most regulation,
Right.
most rigid controls, the highest need to be able to demonstrate that your controls are effective and actually working.
Yeah.
So that's the place I spent most of the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, especially the CMMC now, these requirements with basically any Department of War contractor. It's
Right.
uh it's really becoming well, first of all, they're doing audits. So and it's 2026 now, so there's no escaping it. You have to
Yes,
get
you
it done.
must do it. You must do it.
And it has to be done in a relatively quick time. And it's my understanding that there actually aren't a lot of approved vendors able to actually implement this
To
into a
do
lot
those
of these sites.
assessments.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I have to tell you, my first reaction to that was probably not proper because again, I've been doing this kind of work for 25, 30 years. And so to learn that in order to support the CMMC model, I had to go get yet another certification.
Hmm.
My reaction was, oh, why do I have to? But I understand why. Because with this huge new market blossoming where so many companies are going to need qualified assessors, you can't just have somebody showing up and saying, "Hey, I know how to do this. Let me do this for you," and find out that they really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I get the need for the certification. It's just an effort to now have to go and do that and get that
Well,
certification.
it's
But
another hoop
I
you got to
understand
jump
its
through, right?
importance.
Yeah, it's another
Yeah,
hoop you got to jump through. But I agree, it is probably. I mean, with something like this, there's always gonna if you don't have something like that, there's always gonna be those folks that literally don't know what they're doing, and they're gonna take your money, and you're gonna get
yeah,
audited, and maybe get screwed at the end of the day.
yeah, yeah. Have someone come in and prepare you for the big audit,
Yeah.
tell you you're good, and then the big audit comes and you're not good. Actually, I've spent time with that with people because believing, running your business and believing you have controls implemented well is very different than being able to produce evidence that you have these controls and they're actually working. And to carry people across that, minor step has at times taken some effort to actually help people understand you can't just say, yeah, I have this control in place. The last C in CMMC is certification,
Hmm.
meaning someone's going to come and validate that you have these controls in place, which means producing evidence. You say you keep event logs for 90 days. Well, okay, show them to me. Show me the event logs and show me that it goes back 90 days. And I've done assessments where somebody said, yeah, we do that. And then you go and the logs only go back 30 days. How did that happen?
Mm.
And then you find out a few months ago, oh, we were running out of disk space. The logs were taking up too much space. So we just clicked it back to 30 days until we could add the space, which we never did.
Yeah.
Right. So these little temporary solutions happen and people don't realize that they've become permanent. So that's where you do an assessment and you produce evidence, and sometimes you find these things
Hmm.
that you have to go fix.
And how long do these assessments take to get someone compliant?
To get someone compliant, it um it tends to be a two-phase process. One is, let's just go in and let's have a quick discussion about where do you think you are,
Hmm.
right? Without looking for evidence, just where do you believe you have everything in place, and where are some of the controls where we say, yeah, we're pretty sure we don't have that yet. Because once you do that, then you make a decision of, well, let's spend some time filling in the gaps before we do a real assessment.
Hmm.
Or you say, oh, you guys are pretty close. So let's go and do a mock assessment. And if you scope it properly, and I say scope it because any assessment, you want to scope it to what are the systems that matter. We're not we're not looking at your entire environment. We're looking at what systems fall under the need for a certification. Is
Hmm.
that two systems, three systems? And then let's focus all these controls on, are these controls implemented in those systems?
Hmm.
And then if you do that, you could, depending on how, if you're going to dedicate your resources to say, hey, over the next 2 weeks, when these people ask you for evidence, your priority is to give it to them. If you're willing to do that, you can kind of get yourself to a really good place in a couple of weeks. But I found in reality, most people have real jobs that absorb their time
Hmm.
every day. And so this can extend out 4 or 5 weeks. It all becomes, what do we mutually agree
Hmm.
is going to be the time it takes, and the staff's commitment to producing the evidence, and then you get it done. So, you know, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, it's all about how important is this to us? Because if you don't get your CMMC or your NIS2, which is kind of I'm not going to say it's the same, it's a similar model, but in Europe,
Hmm.
um, then you have revenue that you're receiving that suddenly you may no longer be able to receive
Yeah.
because you didn't get your certification or your attestation, which NIS2 in Europe is an attestation.
Hmm.
You Leadership in your company has to be able to say, yes, we have checked and we believe we have these controls in place.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear that. My
Oh no.
phone is going up.
No, no, all good. Yeah, yeah. No, but okay, so very interesting. So you think like couple months max, you can implement this.
You could,
Yeah,
you
just
could.
depends on
You
the
know what?
cooperation.
Yeah, and your scoping, because again,
Yeah.
I've seen, if you're a service provider and you're providing services to other companies, here's the great scenario. You're providing services to a company and they have to be CMMC
Hmm.
certified, which means they're going to take all those requirements and push them down to you and say,
Hmm.
well, you now have to show me that you have these controls in place.
Mm.
And so if I'm providing services, one thing I've told people is the systems that implement those services that you're giving to your customers should be separate and apart from the systems that you use to run your business.
Hmm.
Like, for instance, your HR system, your email systems, your OneDrives, and your network storage. Those should be separate, because if you've got all your clients' proprietary information in your corporate systems, like your local OneDrive,
Hmm.
well, then all of those systems are now in scope for whatever targets you need to hit for your customers.
Hmm.
Whereas if you keep those separate, then you have a little glitch in your corporate systems, but it doesn't impact what's happening with what you're doing to your customers.
Right,
And so you narrow the footprint of your systems that have to hit these targets.
right.
And it's amazing. I've found that most service providers don't do that. It's all kind of one big blob of systems, which means when they have to be assessed, the scope is out here instead of focused on these two or three systems.
Interesting. So it depends on basically it's case by case then. It depends. Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on how well they've managed their environment to, keep certain systems isolated, those are the ones that have to hit a higher target.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, I teach, I'm an adjunct faculty at the local university, Jacksonville University. We were just talking about that,
Hmm.
right? What's the reason to have internal network segments? And it's
Yeah.
because you have like systems that behave maybe a little differently or require a little more protection. So you put them on their own segment because it makes sense to do that.
Hmm. Yeah, no, exactly. That makes perfect sense. So this brings me to my question where I ask all my guests. So if given everything you know about your company, the industry, if you had a magic wand to fix anything right now or change anything, what do you think that you would like to see implemented or
Mm.
done?
Um, well, it's about ownership, right? What I've found is the right things that you need to have happen, right? Those never happen by accident, right? They happen because someone owns it and it's their job to make sure it happens.
Hmm.
And just in so many companies, and again, usually the SMBs, the small to mediums,
Yep.
because their resources are limited, there's a lot of trust that certain things are actually happening without actually going and confirming, we're really sure
Hmm.
that this is happening in this system. And certainly when you outsource to service providers, there's still a lot of mentality that, wow, great, I've outsourced this to a service provider. I don't have to manage it anymore. I don't have to worry about it anymore. Instead of it's like, well, how do we know we're actually getting what we
Hmm.
need from that service provider, and that we're not going to 2 years from now suddenly have a where they have a huge breach that becomes our problem
Hmm.
because we didn't check it. So it's really, I put that all in the category of, are you sure you're managing your business and you're managing your resources?
Hmm.
Do you know what your critical services are? And are you managing them? I would say intentionally managing them as opposed to assuming all is good.
Yeah, yeah. It's a fine line, right? Like I think I love that having ownership, right? And it's a fine line between and, these SMBs. They love to trust their employees and make sure everything's done. And it's also like you don't want to micromanage them either, but you do have to make some checks. At
Yes,
least
every once in a
periodic
while you
checks.
go check.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Not saying every day, but make some checks, actually check yourself. I really think that's important. I see it a lot too. And especially in, companies that are, capped for time and employees and cash or whatever it may be, tend to just hope and
yeah.
assume.
Well, that's where you have your local heroes, which are some really great employees that do important things that need to be done. But it happens with the local heroes. Sometimes they need 2 weeks off or they leave
Exactly.
completely. And now you're like, oh, now what do we do? We've
You
got
put
all these unknowns.
you put all your trust into one person and it's great, right? And they're fantastic, but exactly. But then you're relying solely on that person, which
Yeah,
exactly. You don't know
yeah.
what could happen. So yeah, that's a very great point. Dan, I really want to thank you. This was a great conversation.
All right.
I would where can the viewers find you and your company?
Well, we are www.racpartnersinc.com. You got to remember that little INC.
Yep.
Um, personally, I would say my website is more of an online resume.
Yep.
I don't believe it gets a lot of traffic, but it's a way for people to contact me and say, hey,
Sure.
can we talk? Which is, those are the conversations I like to have.
Hmm.
Right. And like anybody with a company like mine, I like to have low overhead. I just like to help people solve their problems. And if I do that, then they'll give me a good referral and help somebody else solve another problem.
I love that. That's fantastic. Well, I'll put that link below the video here so everyone can view it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, Dan. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye.